Mr. IOTBA, Mr. 214, Senior Dos Uno Cuarto, with my dog, my partner in crime, JJ Solomon. We are the Spit Bucket Podcast, and we right here with Floyd, Kid Austin, Schofield Jr. What's poppin', my guy?
Not much, just getting ready, locking in for the fight, gonna try to give, the fans what they came to see, a good performance, and we'll see how it play out tonight.
Yeah, man, everybody excited, man. You main event this. We're in Vegas right now. They just excited about, how high you're going right now and the scene you're setting. Tell me about how you feeling about this moment.
It feels like surreal, it's not the MGM and nothing, but it's still big, It's Vegas, the fighting capital. Everybody wants to, headline in Vegas, and that's what I'm doing at such a young age. So I'm happy Golden Boy gave me an opportunity. And, I'm not gonna let them down. I'm gonna show you that it's only gonna get higher from here. So I'm very grateful and blessed.
Hey, not only is it Saturday night in Vegas with a main event Golden Boy card, but just about 12, 13 hours ago, you were live with Shakur Stevenson. So he doing you the favor of putting a whole bunch of new eyeballs that probably otherwise, wouldn't have been watching. Now, this obviously adds a little bit of pressure, knowing those more folks watching who are pretty much saying, "Let's see what this Kid Austin kid has." Are you feeling that pressure?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's pressure, because I always say I don't go in the ring with pressure. My job is to make it out the ring safe, to get back to my friends and family. That's the only pressure I got. But as far as pleasing the crowd and pleasing everybody else, I know I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna give them I'm gonna give them an entertaining fight. So win, lose, or draw, which I ain't losing or drawing, but win, lose, or draw is always gonna be an entertaining fight with me. So I don't got no pressure. I don't feel no pressure, especially from his fan base.
What you think about your opponent tonight? Because we can't look past him. We got to get that job done first. What you think about him tonight? What you think? How you think he's going to bring it to you? You think he's going to come to you? You think he's going to try to box you on the outside?
I think I'm not trying to, just me personally. I feel like he's going to start off trying to out, man me and whatnot. Try to rough me up a little bit. Who knows? And then I feel like I'm going to just crack him sometimes, and I feel like he's going to get hesitant, then he's going to wait for that, jump in I always do. And I feel like then he's going to try to box, because he has a good left hook. So I feel like then he's going to try to box and just land that left hook, But we'll see. I feel like once he feels my power and feels that I'm bigger than him, I feel like he'll be backing up.
Your promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, he did an interview this week. I think it was with Michelle Phelps. He was like, this is Kid Austin moment. He has to come out here and put on the show, if he wants them big fights. So in your mind, do you feel like you got to go out here and dominate and knock this guy out and get him out of there?
Yeah, I definitely do. I feel like this fight is a fight where I can't have a performance like my last fight. This fight, me calling out the names, I gotta show something. It has to be what does he bring to the table? That we can give him these big fights or put him on those big platforms. It has to be something. Not necessarily different, but something that could justify them putting me in those big fights. I feel like I'm gonna show it tonight. I feel like it's gonna be a good fight.
I've heard you say a couple of times you're gonna see a boxing match. I mean, are you looking to get some rounds in and display not only the vicious power we've all seen, but to show a new element, to use this time as the main event to let the world know, hey, I'm not just a knockout artist?
Yeah, I was talking to Bernard, my dad, and they're telling me this is only my second fight of the year. I'm used to fighting 4 times a year. This is practically supposed to be, it's a good opponent, but it's supposed to be a tune-up fight for me. So I don't have to go in there and necessarily get the knockout. It's the end of the year. Next year is a new year. Just go in there, box, be smart. We know I got the power to get the knockout, but now it's time to actually grow and, show the people and show everyone I can box, as long as bring the power with it. So that's why I say I'm gonna just box smart, because I know the power's there. I don't gotta go for the knockout. It's 12 rounds? I don't know if it's 10 or 12 rounds. I think it's 12, but I don't know. But it's 10 or 12 rounds. I don't gotta go look for the knockout. If the knockout presents itself, then I'll take it. But as far as just keep him frustrated on the end of that jab, so.
It's a lot of noise, like I said, around you. Everybody's starting to know who Floyd, Kid Austin Schofield Jr. is. And, also you got to give credit to your pops, Coach Floyd Schofield Sr., tell me about your dad, and how special it is, for you to see you at this moment, and he predicted that you will be here.
It feels good, you know. My dad. A lot of people always got something negative to say about my father, but you know, a father is supposed to believe in their son to the point where he feels like he could be God if he needed to. So I'm glad I have my dad there. You know, me becoming a father, that it makes me appreciate my dad even more, because you know it's not easy, and I could just imagine having to do this, you know, his whole life trying to get me to this point. So I'm very thankful for my pops, and my pops is gonna continue to talk the way he talk. He's not gonna change for nobody. And like I'm saying, like, it's working. My dad was to die tomorrow, I'm straight. You know, I made investments. I made pretty decent amount of money in the sport where like now I don't have to do nothing. I mean, what other father got their son to the point where they're making 6 figures a year? And they don't even have to touch that, you know, after the fight. So, you know, like I said, I appreciate my dad. And my dad, something happened to my dad, I know I'm straight. I don't got to box no more. So anybody can hate, but if they're a father, you know, they should be able to respect that. And if they don't, y'all just some goofies.
Well, man, last question before we get out of here and let you get ready for the big fight tonight. Speaking of fatherhood, you know, we know you just became a pops. This is your first camp and your first fight as a dad. Can you just talk a little bit what that motivation is like and how it's impacting preparation for fight night?
So he's still young. He's 5 weeks. You know, at home, I didn't really get to spend a lot of time with him. I was always training, you know, come home, then I'll take care of him or whatnot. Then I got to go right back to training in the morning because I got to get my sleep. So, you know, 5 weeks, it was a good 5 weeks, but it wasn't like I would have liked, you know, to have him when I wasn't fighting. You know, if I was on break, then yeah, I got those 5 weeks plus more. So it was difficult. And this week, I only spoke to him like 2 times. So it's like I'm doing it for him because like I'm not trying to speak to him so much this week. And then I get that soft spot and I go in the ring like, nah, I just want to like show my opponent like this is what happens when you try to take food away from my son. And it's not personal. I feel like every father should go in that ring thinking like that, but it's definitely a motivation for sure.
Now, kid, we know, coming up being young and coming into a man, I know being honest, you know, hearing your dad talking sometimes, it could be frustrating. Right, to you sometimes,
of course, yeah.
You don't get it, but like you said, having this baby and now having your own child, you understand.
I understand now. I understand, you know,
Yeah.
All the excuse my language, but all the ass whippings, you know, if I lose a fight, like, I understand it. Like, that's all he knew, you know. He knew music. I wasn't into music, so he wasn't going to teach me music, so all he knew how to do was fight. So, you know, like, that's all he could give me. He didn't know nothing else, you know, us being homeless. We didn't have the resources to play football. I was not gonna make it in no basketball with my height. So that's all he could teach me, and I'm thankful because, you know, as a kid, I always grew up, like you said in the interview, and as a kid, I grew up, like, I hated it. Like, it felt like a prison. I didn't really start loving it till, like, my pro debut. Once I got a knockout and seen I could actually do it, that's when I, like, started loving boxing. But, like, as a kid, it felt like a prison. I mean, my dad is not the perfect dad. No parent is the perfect parent. And, you know, he didn't really have his parents in his life, so he didn't get to see how you should do things.
He had to learn with you.
He had to learn with me. So, you know, I had a rough upbringing as far as, like literally, like, I'm not lying. Joe Jackson of boxing. Like,
We talk about that.
Like, me and my dad have a perfect relationship now. Like, we're inseparable now, but back then, it was like the Joe Jackson boxing. You mess up in sparring, you got ass with one at home. Like, and that's how, like, of course my dad ain't putting his hands on me now, dude. Like, now I go into that ring set, that ring with the mindset of, I got an ass with him. I realistically don't, but that's how, like, I was so wired and brought to, like, it's either you or me, because I know, you know, at home, like, I'm gonna have to hear, like, all types of things. So I appreciate my dad, you know, every beating, you know, every, you know, lecture, all of it. Without it, I won't be here. Without it, I won't be here. And now I understand if I had to do the same thing with my son. I mean, of course, like, my dad always tells me, like, even to this day, he's like, you better never lay your hand on my grandson.
Hell yeah, it's different now.
Hey, you see how it's different?
It's different
You have
now.
a baby.
I'm like,
okay, so you're so precious about him. But with me, I was getting everything in the world.
I'm telling you, we were on our way here, and he was like, we were talking, you know, we always talk about things we could have done different. He always tells me, like, you know, I should have, like, instead of, like, you know, hitting you and doing all this other stuff, I should have, like, rewarded you with something. Or, you know, like, did, like, a, you know, if I do something good, I get something. But He was like, nah, you better never put your hands on my grandson.
Yeah, man, you get more wisdom as you get older. You do shit a little bit different, so.
But I love my dad. I appreciate
That's great,
my dad,
bro.
and he's gonna continue to do what he does because that's what's gonna make me, more
Who
comfortable.
you is.